Good morning. Out here again. Good. I had a feeling you'd show up. Come on, walk with me. It's early. The world hasn't started demanding things from you yet. That's exactly why this hour matters. What you put in your mind right now, before the noise, before the phone, before the day starts pulling at you, that's what sets the tone for everything that follows. So let's use it well. I want to tell you about two men this morning. Two men who spent their entire lives trying to hand people something most people never stop long enough to receive. And I'll be honest with you, the first time I came across their work, I didn't fully get it either. I understood the words, but understanding words and actually feeling what they mean are two very different things. It took me a while, but when it landed properly. So stay with me this morning. We've got some ground to cover. The first man is Napoleon Hill. Hill spent over 20 years studying the most successful people of his era, industrialists, inventors, leaders. He wanted to know what separated the people who built something extraordinary from the ones who never quite got there. And after all that research, all those interviews, all those years, he came back with one answer. Not talent, not education, not luck. The mind. Specifically, what you do with it, whether you take control of it or let it run on its own. The second man is Joseph Murphy. Where Hill approaches this from the angle of success and achievement, Murphy comes at it from a different direction. He's a minister, a teacher, a healer. And what he spent his life showing people is this: the same mind that can build your success can also heal your body, repair your relationships, and change your circumstances. From the inside out. Together, these two men are saying the same thing from different sides of the same table. And this morning, we are going to sit at that table and really listen. All right, feet moving. Let's start with Hill. Hill opened every lecture with the same idea. He called it the master key. And the first clue he gave about what this master key actually is, he put it like this. Now, I want you to listen to this exactly as he said it. There is a power greater than poverty, greater than the lack of education, greater than all of your fears and superstitions combined. It is the power to take possession of your own mind and direct it to whatever ends you may desire. Say that again slowly in your head. Greater than poverty, greater than fear, greater than everything that has ever made you feel stuck or small or behind. The power to take possession of your own mind. That's it. That's the master key. It's not something you have to go out and find. It's not something you earn or buy or qualify for. You were born with it. Every single person walking this earth was born with it. The problem, and Hill was very clear about this, is that most people never use it deliberately. They let the mind run on autopilot. And an autopilot mind doesn't aim for what you want. It aims for whatever it's been fed the most. Fear, doubt, old stories, other people's opinions, whatever has been repeated the longest. Think of it like a garden. The mind grows whatever you plant in it most consistently. But here's the thing about a garden. If you don't plant something on purpose, it doesn't stay empty. Weeds grow, always, without any effort at all. Most people are living in a garden full of weeds they never chose, and they wonder why the harvest doesn't look like what they wanted. Hill said, take possession. Decide what gets planted. That's the whole job. I've thought about this a lot over the years, and here's what I've noticed. People will spend enormous energy managing everything around them. Their schedule, their appearance, their reputation, what other people think of them. They'll exhaust themselves trying to control things that are frankly never fully in their control. But the one thing that is completely and entirely theirs, the mind, they leave unattended. It's like locking every door in the house and leaving the front gate wide open. Now, Hill described something I have never forgotten. He called it the two sealed envelopes. He said every person comes into this world carrying two envelopes. The first one is labeled, "The riches you may enjoy if you take possession of your own mind." The second one is labeled, "The penalties you must pay if you neglect to take possession of your mind." The first envelope contains things like sound health, peace of mind, work you actually love doing, freedom from fear and worry, and material abundance, as much as you choose. The second envelope contains the opposite: ill health, fear, doubt, frustration, poverty, and what Hill called a whole flock of evils: envy, resentment, anger, all the things that quietly poison a life from the inside. Here's what makes this so important. You don't get to opt out of one of them. You open one or the other, every single day, through what you think, through what you believe, through what you give your attention to. Most people don't realize they're choosing, but they are, every day. Now, Hill said, knowing about the two envelopes isn't enough. Plenty of people hear this and nod along. They understand it. They agree with it. And then they go home and keep opening the wrong one anyway. Why? Because understanding something in your head and actually believing it in your gut are two completely different things. Hill called the bridge between those two things applied faith. And here's what he meant by that. Faith isn't something you go out and find. It's not something reserved for particularly spiritual people or particularly lucky ones. Hill was very clear about this. He said the failure believes just as deeply as the successful person, just as consistently, just as passionately. The only difference is what they're pointing it at. The failure has enormous faith in everything going wrong, in the door not opening, in the timing being off, in not being quite good enough. That's not a lack of faith. That's faith working perfectly, just aimed at the wrong target. Hill put it simply. He said, the failure sees the hole in the donut, but not the donut around the hole. The success sees the hole also, but they see the donut around the hole. Same donut, completely different experience of it. So applied faith isn't about pretending the hole doesn't exist. It's about choosing, deliberately, on purpose, to keep your eyes on the donut, to direct your belief toward what you want rather than what you fear, to take that same powerful, consistent, deeply felt certainty you've been pouring into doubt and point it somewhere worth building. That's the switch, and only you can flip it. All right. Still breathing? Good. Some people check out around this point. Not you, though. Let's keep going. Now here's where Joseph Murphy walks in. And the first thing Murphy would tell you is this. The mind isn't just a tool for achievement. It's a channel. It's the way life itself flows through you. And when that channel is clear, when your thoughts are peaceful, when you're not carrying resentment or fear or old grudges, life flows through you freely. Things work, doors open. Your body functions the way it was designed to. Your relationships have less friction. Opportunities seem to find you. But when the channel is blocked, when you're angry or bitter or constantly afraid, the flow stops. And Murphy had a very simple way of putting this. He said, your foot is on the hose. That's it. The water is there. The supply hasn't gone anywhere. You're just standing on the hose. And the hose, that's your own thinking, your own emotional state, the stories you keep telling yourself about why things won't work, why people can't be trusted, why you've already missed your chance. Take your foot off the hose. That's Murphy's entire message in 5 words. Now Murphy taught something practical that you can use starting today. And it's built around 2 of the most powerful words in any language. I am. Whatever you put after those 2 words, you are handing directly to your subconscious mind as an instruction. And your subconscious doesn't argue. It doesn't fact-check. It doesn't say, "Are you sure about that?" It just accepts it and gets to work building your reality around it. Murphy said it exactly like this. Listen carefully. Whatever you attach to I am, you become. You can say, "I'm poor, I'm no good, I'm a failure." You'll become all these things. On the other hand, you can say, "I'm illumined, I'm inspired, I'm successful, I'm happy, joyous, and free." Most people use I am as a complaint. I am so tired. I am always struggling. I am terrible with money. I am never lucky. And they say these things casually, dozens of times a day, without realizing they are literally giving their subconscious a blueprint to build from. The subconscious doesn't know you're just venting. It takes everything seriously. It hears I am, and it says, "Understood. Building that now." So the question worth sitting with this morning is, what have you been attaching to I am? Not what you intend to attach to it, what you actually have been, day in and day out, without thinking about it. Because that's what's been getting built. Here's something I've come to believe. The most dangerous sentences a person speaks are the ones they say without noticing. Not the big dramatic statements, those you at least examine. It's the throwaway lines, the ones said while making coffee or sitting in traffic or lying in bed at night. "I'll never be able to afford that. That's just how I am. Things never work out for me." Said once, harmless enough. Said every day for 10 years, that's an instruction manual. And the mind follows instructions very faithfully. Now, Hill talked about something he called the master mind, and the idea is simple. No one who has ever achieved anything significant did it entirely alone. Every great achievement in history was built on some form of alliance. 2 or more people working together toward the same goal, combining their thinking, their energy, and their resources. Hill said, when you form this kind of alliance, a real one built on trust and shared purpose, something happens that goes beyond just pooling your efforts. The combined thinking of 2 aligned minds produces something neither mind could produce on its own. Like 2 instruments playing in harmony produce a sound neither can create alone. He used Henry Ford as an example. Before Ford built a single car, people thought he was wasting his time. His relatives thought he was foolish. His neighbors thought he was eccentric. But he had one person who believed in him completely, his wife. And that alliance, that simple belief between 2 people, is what gave him the courage to keep going when the rest of the world thought he was wrong. You don't need a committee, you don't need a board of directors, you need one person who genuinely believes in what you're building. Sometimes that's enough to change everything. Hill married his secretary after she'd worked with him for 10 years. Said he married her to make sure he wouldn't lose her. Practical man. Very efficient use of the mastermind principle. Murphy had a way of describing how life is supposed to move that I keep coming back to. He said, look at how water moves. Listen to exactly how he put it. Have you ever noticed the way water flows according to the line of least resistance? It never quarrels, fights, or resists the rocks, boulders, or obstacles in its way. The water goes around the boulders, or flows over them, and eventually finds its way back to the ocean. The water always gets there, every time. Not by fighting, not by forcing, by flowing. Now, most people, when they hit an obstacle, they fight it. They push against it. They spend enormous energy resisting the thing that's in their way. And all that resistance drains them, makes them bitter, makes them feel like life is harder than it should be. Murphy's point was, the obstacle is real. He's not saying pretend it isn't there. He's saying your job isn't to destroy it. Your job is to keep moving. Find the way around it, over it, or through it. But keep moving. Because the water always finds the ocean eventually. Always. The people who get stuck aren't the ones with the biggest obstacles. They're the ones who stopped moving and decided to argue with the rock. Now, Hill had a principle he called going the extra mile. And on the surface, it sounds simple. Do more than you're expected to do. But there's something underneath it that most people miss. Hill said it plainly, and I want you to really hear this one. Obviously, if you are doing no more than you are being paid for, you are receiving pay for all to which you are entitled. Sit with that for a moment. If you are doing exactly what's expected, nothing more, then you are already receiving everything you've earned. You have no case for more, no grounds to ask for a promotion, a raise, a better opportunity. You've been paid exactly what you agreed to deliver. But the moment you start doing more than what's expected, more than what's required, something shifts. You become someone people notice, someone people need, someone that's hard to replace. And that position, being genuinely valuable, genuinely irreplaceable, that's where opportunity lives. Hill wasn't just talking about jobs. He was talking about everything. Your relationships, your friendships, the way you show up in any room. The person who consistently gives a little more than they take. That person is magnetic. People want to be around them. People want to help them. Doors open for them that stay closed for everyone else. It's not complicated. It just requires the decision to do it. Every day. I've watched people wait their entire careers for someone to notice them, waiting for the recognition to come first, before they gave the extra effort. That's backwards. The recognition is the result. The effort is the cause. You don't get to reverse the order and expect the same outcome. You plant first, then you harvest, never the other way around. Murphy said something that is genuinely difficult to hear the first time, but once you hear it properly, you can't unhear it. He said, there is no one to change but yourself. Not your boss, not your partner, not the economy, not the people who wronged you, not the circumstances that weren't fair. The change happens in you, and when it happens in you, when you genuinely shift your thinking, your inner state, your assumptions about yourself and the world, the outer world begins to shift with it. Murphy put it this way, there is no one to change but yourself. When you change, your world magically melts in the image and likeness of your contemplation. What you hold in your mind consistently, that's what your world shapes itself around. Not overnight, not always dramatically, but steadily, quietly, the way water shapes stone. You don't see it happening day to day, and then one day you look back, and everything is different. Most people are waiting for the outside to change so they can feel better on the inside. Murphy spent his whole life explaining that it works the other way. Feel it on the inside first. The outside follows. Now Hill had a name for the law behind all of this. He called it cosmic habit force. And it's simply this. The universe runs on habits. Everything in nature moves in patterns. The planets, the seasons, the tides, always the same, always reliable. And your mind works the same way. Whatever thought pattern you feed most consistently, your mind locks it in, makes it automatic, makes it the default setting from which your whole life operates. Here's the important part. This law doesn't care whether the pattern is good for you or not. It just locks in whatever you repeat most. Feed it fear long enough, fear becomes the default. Feed it doubt long enough, doubt becomes the lens through which you see every single opportunity that comes your way. But feed it belief, consistent, daily, genuinely felt belief, and eventually belief becomes the default. And a mind that defaults to belief operates in a completely different world than one that defaults to doubt. Same circumstances, completely different results. Hill said, "You are on the beam when you can say honestly, I know exactly what I want, and I have faith that I will get it." That's the beam, and once you're on it, and you stay on it, the law does the rest. So how do you actually do this? Murphy was very practical. He didn't just talk about the theory. He gave people something to work with every day. He said, choose a statement that reflects the reality you want to live in, not the reality you're currently in, the one you're moving toward. And repeat it, morning and evening, with genuine feeling behind it, not as a performance, as a decision. The words matter less than the feeling, because the subconscious doesn't respond to words the way your conscious mind does. It responds to feeling, to the genuine inner state behind the words. Murphy showed this with a young man who had struggled with poverty for years. He prayed for prosperity every day, but spent every waking hour terrified of being poor. And Murphy explained it simply. Your subconscious accepts the dominant thought. The prayer was 5 minutes. The fear was all day long. The fear was winning. The man changed his approach. He stopped focusing on what he didn't have and started genuinely affirming what he was moving toward. Within a month, his whole situation had shifted. Not because he said magic words, because he changed what was dominant in his mind. He took his foot off the hose, and the water started flowing. There's a version of prayer and affirmation that most people practice without realizing it. They repeat their fears. They rehearse the worst outcome. They go over the problem so many times with so much feeling that by the time they go to sleep, they've thoroughly convinced themselves it won't work. That's also an affirmation, just pointed in the wrong direction. What Murphy is describing isn't something new you add to your life. It's redirecting something you're already doing. You're already talking to yourself all day, every day. The only question is, what are you saying? And here's what I want to leave you with on that. If you can overthink the worst, why can't you overthink the best and see what just happened? So here's where Hill and Murphy meet. Hill says, take possession of your mind. Decide what you want. Form the right alliances. Go further than expected. Feed the right thought pattern until it becomes your default. The law will lock it in and carry you the rest of the way. Murphy says, you are a channel. Life wants to flow through you fully and freely, but you have to clear the channel. Drop the resentment. Stop the self-criticism. Change the I am statements you've been running without thinking. Become like water, not rigid, not fighting, but always moving, always finding the way forward. Together, what they're saying is this. Your life right now is a reflection of what has been most consistent in your mind. Not what you hoped for, not what you intended. What was most consistent, most repeated, most felt. And if you don't like what you see, you don't fix the mirror. You change what's standing in front of it. That's the whole thing, right there. Almost there. I can see where we started from here. Funny how far you can get when you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Here's the truth. Hill and Murphy didn't discover anything new. They just paid close attention to something most people walk past every single day without noticing. That the mind, your mind, is the only thing in this world that belongs completely to you. No one gave it to you with conditions. No one can repossess it. No one can tell you what to do with it. And yet most people hand it over without a fight, to their fears, to their past, to other people's opinions, to the relentless noise of a world that profits from your doubt. You don't have to do that. That's the whole message this morning. You don't have to do that. Now, maybe you came out here today carrying something heavy, a situation that hasn't moved in months, a decision you keep circling but never land on, a version of yourself you can see clearly but can't quite seem to reach. That's not unusual. That's just where most people are living, somewhere between who they are and who they know they could be. But here's what Hill would tell you. The distance between those two isn't talent. It isn't timing. It isn't luck or connection or the right circumstances finally lining up. It's what you've been most consistently feeding your mind. That's it. That's the whole gap. And the gap can close. It has closed for people who had far less going for them than you do right now. And here's what Murphy would tell you. The life you want isn't somewhere out there waiting to be found. It's already trying to reach you. It's been trying. The channel is there. The supply is there. The only thing that has ever stood between you and it is you. Your foot on the hose. Your old I am statements running on repeat. Your habit of making room for doubt before you make room for belief. Take your foot off the hose, that's all, just that. Take possession. Clear the channel. Change the I am. Go further than expected. Feed the mind something worth building, every day with feeling, without waiting for proof first. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. Because the law doesn't make exceptions. It doesn't favor some people over others. It delivers to everyone exactly what they've been most consistently feeding it. So feed it something good. Tonight, tomorrow morning, the day after that. You've been out here for nearly an hour now, and somewhere in that hour something shifted, even if you can't quite name it yet. Maybe it was one line. Maybe it was just a feeling. Maybe you're not even sure what landed. That's fine. You don't need to have it all figured out by the time you get home. The mind works on things quietly, in the background, while you're making breakfast and answering emails and going about your day. Trust that. Let it work. Take care of yourself out there, and I'll see you on the next one. Same time, same walk. Bring the same willingness you brought today. That alone puts you ahead of where you were yesterday.